The event broke me in every way you can possibly imagine. During my year-long recovery, and for some time after, I dealt with the impact of that single moment, physically overcoming broken ribs, internal bleeding, a fractured pelvis, a multi-lacerated liver, and a head injury. The cumulative impact required months of rehab for me to begin walking again. Emotionally, the struggle continued well beyond the many grueling daily hours of rehab, as feelings of frustration, bitterness, anger, and depression took hold. I daily battled PTSD, and spiritually I was on a desperate search for answers. Why did this happen? Why did I survive? How did I survive? And how will I move forward? As I watched so much of my hard work and many of my dreams come to an unexpected and abrupt end, I questioned whether there could be something bigger than myself at work. Many of us experience seasons of brokenness in our lives. Yours may not have been triggered by 3,000 pounds of steel barreling toward you, but the impact was likely just as crushing, just as traumatic. Life will hit us with different seasons that knock us to the ground, leaving us battered, bruised, and feeling empty. No one is exempt. We battle with illness and loneliness, divorce, death of our loved ones, our identity, infertility, financial ruin, accidents, and chronic illness, as well as other challenges that are societal, environmental. Life's trials often leave us with mascara-stained cheeks and swollen lips, our faces buried in our bedroom pillows. In that brokenness, we often feel completely helpless. And it can be hard to recognize in the midst of this brokenness that what we do in these moments, when the world seems dark and we feel completely alone, will shape our beliefs and ultimately our legacy. Unlike other difficult times, this season of brokenness was one of the most difficult I ever faced, and it brought me to the end of myself. And it may sound odd, but it's also something for which I am eternally grateful. Coming to the end of myself forced me to purge self-sufficiency and recognize that something much greater than myself was at work in my life. It turned my young mind from being obsessed with life planning and a career and directed it toward a higher purpose. That fateful April day, I found myself suddenly trapped. Anger and bitterness began to take root. Crippling PTSD-fueled anxiety attacks spawned out of nowhere. Losing my independence and having to solely rely on others because of the physical injuries I endured put me over the edge. And that also became the start of my struggle with severe autoimmune issues. While many have different ways they consider and depend on a higher power, for me, the situation led me to turn to my faith tradition. In Psalms, there's a reference to God's response to those who have a broken spirit. Psalm 51, verse 17. This isn't a reference to our being shamed or degraded or beaten down, but as I read it and relate it to my life, it refers to a sense of God witnessing that moment of my life where my own spirit reached the end of itself. In that moment, and in my desperation to be free, I discovered God, a God who wouldn't leave me in a broken state, a God who does great work from broken places, slowly restoring and rebuilding us. It's in this moment where our independence and self-reliance have been released that the rebuilding process can begin. I was desperate to be nourished and rebuilt. My body was physically unrecognizable, but a deep kind of joy and excitement began to manifest as each new day now brought unrecognized challenges. Years later, I understood that this season in my life, from the moment of impact to rehab to the longer challenge of immune issues, was an opportunity to grow and discover God working in me.